Hare Krishna, somebody can please lead the invocation prayers.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Can I do Prabhu?
Go ahead.
Om Ajnanatimrandasya Jnananjalashalakaya Chakshurunmitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manubhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadanti Swam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttapadakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavam Shri Rupam Sagajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sanjeevam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinu Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्री वसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna, thank you all for coming to read and discuss Srila Prabhupada and Krishna's instructions, and thank you in advance for taking the responsibility to apply these learnings in your life. Today, we will first cover Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 5, Chapter 1. We'll finish Chapter 1, and we will also first aim to finish the shorter Chapter 2, and then towards the end, I will answer inquiries submitted by devotees. The context is Parikshit Maharaj was amazed that Priyavrata remained in household life because the essence of household life is sense enjoyment. And as long as one's mind is caught working very hard for sense enjoyment, one becomes bound by reactions of fruitive activities. But a devotee actually has no attraction for household life. Devotee speaks to his wife with affectionate words, but he is not attached to her. Priyavrata's father, Swayambhava Manu, asked Priyavrata to take charge of kingdom because Priyavrata has all the required qualities. And Priyavrata's reluctance is that being absorbed in Bhakti Yoga and engaging his senses in Lord's service, Priyavrata considered taking up the responsibility of the kingdom can divert him from devotional service. Simultaneously, superior's orders cannot be refused. Still, Priyavrata did not welcome this proposal. Hence, Brahmaji arrives to convince Priyavrata. Brahmaji's real purpose of coming to meet Priyavrata is to praise Priyavrata for his high standard of renunciation, austerity, penance, and devotion, so that he would not be deviated from devotional service, even though he would accept household life. Brahmaji would request Priyavrata to accept household life. Still, Priyavrata would not be out of touch with devotional service. So this is Kripa Siddhi, means perfection attained by blessings of superior. So Priyavrata's dilemma is that Srila Narad Muni, his spiritual master, and Brahmaji, his grandfather, both Shanad Muni and Brahmaji are authorities. So whose order to follow and whose order to reject? And both of their orders are contradictory. The answer is that do not reject orders of both Shanad Muni and Brahmaji. Rather, by intelligence, follow both. Dovetail everything in Krishna's service. Upon various reasons given by Brahmaji, Priyavrata accepts Lord Brahmaji's request. So now Sukadeva Goswami answers the question, how did Priyavrata enjoy household life? Part 6, verses 23 to 35, title is Priyavrata's Rule, Marriages, Descendants, and Wonderful Activities. So Priyavrata is ruling under Lord's order. Priyavrata's dynasty is briefly described in these verses. Abhishek Prabhu, Canto 5, Chapter 1, verses 23 to 28 plus 34 translations.
Hare Krishna, text 23 to 28 and 34.
Correct.
Yes. Text 23. Following the order of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaj Priyavrata fully engaged in worldly affairs, yet he always thought of the lotus feet of the Lord, which are the cause of liberation from all material attachment. Although Priyavrata Maharaj was completely freed from all material contamination, he ruled the material world just to honor the orders of his superior. Text 24. Therefore, Maharaj Priyavrata married Barhismati, the daughter of Prajapati named Vishwakarma. In her, he begot 10 sons equal to him in beauty, character, magnanimity, and other qualities. He also begot a daughter, the youngest of all, named Urjashwati. 25. The 10 sons of Maharaj Priyavrata were named Agnidhara, Ijmajhiva, Yagnabahu, Mahavira, Hiranyareta, Ghritasprishtha, Savana, Medhatithi, Vitihotra, and Kavi. These are also names of Agni, the fire god. 26. Three among the 10, namely Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana, lived in complete celibacy. Thus trained in brahmachari life from the beginning of childhood, they were very conversant with the highest perfection known as the Paramhams Ashram. 27. Thus situated in the renounced order from the beginning of their lives, all three of them completely controlled the activities of their senses and thus became great saints. They concentrated their minds always upon the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the resting place of the totality of living entities and who is therefore celebrated as Vasudeva. Lord Vasudeva is the only shelter of those who are actually afraid of material existence. By constantly thinking of his lotus feet, these three sons of Maharaj Priyavrata became advanced in pure devotional service. By the prowess of their devotional service, they could directly perceive the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is situated in everyone's heart as the Supersoul, and realize that there was qualitatively no difference between themselves and him. 28. In his other wife, Maharaj Priyavrata begot three sons named Uttama, Tamasa, and Raivata. All of them later took charge of Manvantara millenniums. 34. King Priyavrata then gave his daughter Urjashwati in marriage to Shukracharya, who begot in her a daughter named Devyani.
So, Priyavrata's sons, Kavi, Mahavira, Savana, they being in the Paramhamsa ashram, controlled their senses. They fixed minds on lotus feet of Vasudeva and became advanced in devotional service. They could directly perceive the Lord. So this brief history is given of Priyavrata's dynasty. Mother Chandra Aunty, verses 29 to 33 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 29, translation. After Kavi, Mahavira, and Savana were completely trained in the Paramahamsa stage of life, Maharaja Priyavrata ruled the universe for 11 arbudas of years. Whenever he was determined to fix his arrow upon his bowstring with his two powerful arms, all opponents of the regulative principles of religious life would flee from his presence in fear of unparalleled powers he displayed in ruling the universe. He greatly loved his wife, Brahismati, and with the increase of days, their exchanges of nuptial love also increased. By her feminine behavior, as he dressed herself, walked, got up, smiled, laughed, and glanced about, Queen Brahismati increased his energy. Thus, although he was a great soul, he appeared lost in the feminine contact of his wife. He behaved with her just like an ordinary man, but actually he was a great soul. 630 translation. While so excellently ruling the universe, King Priyavrata once became dissatisfied with the circumambulance of the most powerful sun god. Encircling Sumeru hill on the chariot, the sun god illuminate all the surrounding planetary system. However, when the sun is on the northern side of the hill, the south receives less light, and when the sun is in the south, the north receives less. King Priyavrata dislikes this situation and therefore decided to make daylight in the part of universe where there was night. He followed the orbit of the sun god on a brilliant chariot and thus fulfilled his desire. He could perform such wonderful activities because of the power he had achieved by worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Text 31, translation. When Priyavrata drew his chariot behind the sun, the rims of the chariot wheels created impressions that later became 7 oceans, divided the planetary system known as Bhaumandala into 7 islands. Text 32, translation. The names of islands are Jambu, Palaksa, Salmali, Pusa, Krayunsa, Saka, and Pushkara. Each island is twice as large as the one presiding it, and each is surrounded by a liquid substance beyond which is the next island. Next 32 translation. The seven oceans respectively contain salt water, sugarcane juice, liquor, clarified butter, milk, emulsified yogurt, and sweet drinking water. All the islands are completely surrounded by these oceans, and each ocean is equal in breadth to the island it surrounds. Maharaja Priyavrata, the husband of Queen Varshishmati, gave sovereignty over these islands to his respective sons, namely Agnidhara, It Majitva, Yajna Bahu, Hiranya Rata, Gaurav Prastha, Medatithi, and Vitotra. Thus, they all became kings by the order of their father.
So Priyavrata ruled the universe for 11 Arbuda years. Verse 29 purport towards the end describes the length of Arbuda, that one Arbuda equals 100 million years. And Priyavrata ruled for 11 Arbuda. So it's a quite a long time that all other personalities came and went. But Priyavrata ruled for a very, very long time, almost the Manvantara time of Swayambhuva Manu. Now, Priyavrata's chariot, dividing the universe in 7 islands, we read in verse 31. Parikshit Maharaj will inquire later in Canto 5 about the dimensions of these divisions. And in response, Sukadeva Goswami will describe the horizontal and vertical structure of the universe. Now, these verses, Parikshit Maharaj may have a question that how could Priyavrata do all this? That run the orbit of the sun, divide the universe in 7 islands by the wheels of his chariot. How is this possible? And the answer is given in verse 35 that devotee's power is actually not astonishing. Uncle, 35 translation.
Prabhuji, 34 is yet to cover, no?
34 we read ahead, Abhishek Prabhu read, it's in this
Okay. Thank you.
Provided the dynasty of Priyavrata.
This Arbudas means trouble-free kingdom, correct, Prabhuji?
Arbuda is the length. It's not necessarily trouble. I mean, Priyavrata is pure devotee, so there was no trouble during his dynasty. But Arbuda specifically is a length or the dimension of years.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. Text 5. My dear king, a devotee who has taken shelter of the dust from the lotus feet of the Lord can transcend the influence of the 6 material verbs, namely hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death, and he can conquer the mind of 5 senses. However, this is not very wonderful for a pure devotee of the Lord, because even a person beyond the jurisdiction of 4 castes, in other words, untouchable, is immediately relieved of bondage to material existence if he utters the holy name of the Lord even once. Text 36.
Hold on.
While enjoy,
That's it. So
that's it.
Why all this is possible for Priyavrata is because he's a pure devotee of the Lord, and he has all the power. So now part 7 is verses 36 to 41. Title is Priyavrata's Repentance and Renunciation. So as part 6 verses are straightforward, similarly part 7 verses are also straightforward. So here Priyavrata criticizes himself that he is somehow entangled in material life. Therefore, he gave up everything to his 7 sons, and Priyavrata reawakened to self-realization by Lord's grace. So visualize that from the 10 sons, 3 sons are at the Paramhamsa ashram. They are already renounced, so it's the remaining 7 sons, amongst whom Priyavrata divided the universe or his kingdom. Chandran Prabhu, 36 to 41 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 36. While enjoying his material opulence with full strength and influence, Maharaja Priyavrata once began to consider that although he had fully surrendered to the great saint Narada and was actually on the path of Krishna consciousness, he had somehow become again entangled in material activities. Thus, his mind now became restless, and he began to speak in a spirit of renunciation. Text 37. The king thus began criticizing himself. Alas, how condemned I have become because of my sense gratification. I have now fallen into material enjoyment, which is exactly like a covered well. I have had enough. I am not going to enjoy anymore. Just see how I have become like a dancing monkey in the hands of my wife. Because of this, I am condemned. Text 38. By the grace of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaja Priyavrata reawakened to his senses. He divided all his earthly possessions among his obedient sons. He gave up everything, including his wife, with whom he had enjoyed so much sense gratification, and his great and opulent kingdom, and he completely renounced all attachment. His heart, having been cleansed, became a place of pastimes for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, he was able to return to the path of Krishna consciousness, spiritual life, and resume the position he had attained by the grace of the great Saint Narada. Text 39. There are many famous verses regarding Maharaja Priyavrata's activities. No one but the Supreme Person of Godhead could do what Maharaja Priyavrata has done. Maharaja Priyavrata dissipated the darkness of night, and with the rims of his great chariot, he excavated 7 oceans. Text 40. To stop the quarreling among different people, Maharaja Priyavrata marked boundaries at rivers and at the edges of mountains and forests so that no one would trespass upon another's property. Text 41. As a great follower and devotee of the sage Narada, Maharaja Priyavrata considered hell is the opulences he had achieved by dint of fruitive activities and mystic power, whether in the lower or heavenly planetary systems or in human society. Hare Krishna.
So straightforward verses that he found himself to be entangled in material life, and he's feeling disgusted. So he gives up everything, creates boundaries by the rivers and mountains so that no one encroaches others' property. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to the 5th canto, 1st chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Activities of Maharaj Priyavrata. Any questions, comments, realizations before we discuss chapter 2?
Hare Krishna Prabhu. I just had a question. So earlier in one of the verses, it was said that, it looked as if he was entangled, but actually he wasn't entangled. But then later on, he's repenting, saying that he was entangled and then, he wished to come out of it. So just wanted to understand, Prabhu. So was he actually materially, was he enjoying sense gratification and then suddenly it struck him that, so I just had that question, Prabhu.
Yeah, so Prabhupada has explained that Grahastha ashram means you should have wife and you should have children. So in the process, yes, towards the end, he realized that he got entangled. And that's why he's repenting. So he started from where he was in a Paramahamsa stage. But then he realizes that, no, wait a minute, I have become entangled. And therefore, I want to give this up everything and get back. And that's what we also read, that he then reawakened to Krishna consciousness. Shalini.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, I seek a clarification from you. Why Priyavrata accepted ruling the country, the household life? Is it due to Brahmaji's humility in descent to persuade him, or the conflict, the inner conflict due to profound feeling to renunciate and the selfless cosmic duty which he is supposed to do as a king? Would you please clarify?
So we did read that this was Priyavrata's dilemma, and he accepted the duty of ruling the kingdom because superior's orders cannot be rejected. This is the learning from chapter 1, that superior's orders should not be rejected. And he used his intelligence to dovetail everything in Krishna's service. But of course, material life is andakupam, a dark well, that it's a whirlpool, that it entangles everyone. But still, Priyavrata is Paramhamsa and he is able to recognize. Others don't recognize. Priyavrata is able to recognize and make corrective action. So he accepted because superior's orders cannot be or should not be rejected. And Brahmaji said, you are Paramhamsa. So it does not matter to you, even though you will get married, you will continue to be elevated in the Paramhamsa stage. Uncle.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It seems little difficult to understand that how, like at least to me, that how pure devotees is getting entangled. I'm not able to fully grasp that.
Yeah, so that's the Andakupam, that example being proved that material life is a dark well. And we have discussed so many times that Krishna uses his pure devotees to teach to rest of the world. So if this happens to ordinary people like me, well, we'll be caught in the whirlpool and we will go away from Krishna consciousness. But pure devotee is able to recognize and get out of that entanglement. So these are special situations designed to teach to us that don't get entangled in the material world. Yeah, you can have family, nothing wrong with it. Priyavrata is talking very nicely, affectionately to his wife, but he's not attached. Of course, later on, he goes on to become attached and realizes and gives up everything. So nothing wrong with family life as long as we are able to dovetail everything in Krishna's service. Abhishek?
Prabhuji, this example also kind of reverberates with the verse from Bhagavad Gita where Lord Krishna says that his devotees are never perished and that he protects their devotion. So, like it was said that Lord Krishna, by mercy of Lord Krishna, he was able to remember and come back to devotion.
Correct, yeah. Bhagavad Gita 9.31, that my devotee never perishes, and very good correlation that yes, the verse clearly said in Canto 5, one of the verse, we read that Priyavrata was able to reawaken his senses to Krishna consciousness by Lord's grace. Very good. Everybody on the same page? Any questions, comments, realizations?
In fact, Brahmaji is only an enforcer of Lord's desire that Priyavrata should accept a trouble-free kingdom for the public. That is my perception.
Correct. Yeah, you are correct. All right, chapter 2 is very straightforward. Will get finished in a very short time. It's a shorter chapter and a straightforward chapter. Chapter 2 is titled The Activities of Maharaj Agnidhara. It's divided into 4 parts. Part 1 is verses 1 and 2. Agnidhara's rule and austerities. Part 2, verses 3 to 6. Agnidhara saw Purvachitti sent by Brahmaji. Part 3, verses 7 to 16. Agnidhara's flattery to attract Purvachitti. Part 4, verses 17 to 23. Agnidhara's family life, descendants, and attainment of Pitraloka. Verses 1 and 2 describe Agnidhara's religious rule and austerities. Mother Jija, verse 1 and 2 translation.
Hare Krishna. Text 1. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued. After his father Maharaja Priyavrata departed to follow the path of spiritual life by undergoing austerities, King Agnidhara completely obeyed his order. Strictly observing the principles of religion, he gave full protection to the inhabitants of Jambu Dvipa as if they were his own begotten sons. Text 2. Desiring to get a perfect son and become an inhabitant of Pitraloka, Maharaja Agnidhara once worshipped Lord Brahma, the master of those in charge of material creation. He went to a valley of Mandara Hill, where the damsels of the heavenly planets come down to stroll. There he collected garden flowers and other necessary paraphernalia and then engaged in severe austerities and worship. Hare Krishna.
So before the verse 1, there is also a very good summary of this chapter 2. Mother Jija, you want to read the paragraph before verse 1 as the summary of chapter 2?
The activities of Maharaja Agnidhara. In this chapter, the character of Maharaja Agnidhara is described. When Maharaja Priyavrata went off for spiritual realization, his son Agnidhara became the ruler of Jambu Dvipa in accordance with Maharaja Priyavrata's instructions and maintained its residence with the same affection a father feels for a son. Once Maharaja Agnidhara desired to have a son, and therefore he entered a cave of Mandara mountain to practice austerity. Understanding his desire, Lord Brahma sent a celestial girl named Purvachitti to Agnidhara's hermitage. After dressing herself very attractively, she presented herself before him with various feminine movements, and Agnidhara was naturally attracted to her. The girl's actions, expressions, smile, sweet words, and moving eyes were fascinating to him. Agnidhara was an expert in flattery. Thus, he attracted the celestial girl, who was pleased to accept him as her husband because of her mellifluous words. He enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidhara. She enjoyed royal happiness with Agnidhara for many years before returning to her abode in the heavenly planets. In her womb, Agnidhara begot 9 sons: Nabi, Kimpurusha, Harivarsha, Ilavrita, Ramyaka, Hiranmaya, Kuru, Bhadrasva, and Ketuvalla. He gave them 9 islands with names corresponding to theirs. Agnidhara, however, his senses unsatisfied, was always thinking of his celestial wife, and therefore, in his next life, he was born in a celestial planet. After the death of Agnidhara, his 9 sons married 9 daughters of Miru named Miru Devi, Pratirupa, Ugra Damstri, Lata, Ramya, Samya, Nari, Bhadra, and Devaviti. Hare Krishna.
So a good summary is given at what we just read. Now, verse number 1, purport, as a list of predictions for Kali Yuga. Shalini, verse 1, purport.
Hare Krishna. Following the instruction of his father Maharaja Priyavrata, Maharaja Agnidhara ruled the inhabitants of Jambudvipa according to the religious principles. These principles are exactly contrary to the modern principles of faithlessness. As clearly stated here, the king protected the citizens in the way citizens the way a father protects his begotten children. How he ruled the citizens is also described here. Dharmavek Samanaha, strictly according to the religious principles. It is the duty of the executive head of the state to see that the citizens strictly follow the religious principles. The Vedic religious principles begin with Varnashrama Dharma, the duties of the 4 Varnas and 4 Ashramas. Dharma refers to the principles given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The first principle of Dharma or religion is to observe the duties of the 4 orders as enjoined by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. According to people's qualities and activities, society should be divided into Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, and then again into Brahmacharis, Grahasthas, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis. These are religious principles, and it is the duty of the head of the state to see that his citizens strictly follow them. He should not merely act officially, he should be like a father who is always a well-wisher of his sons. Such a father strictly observes whether his sons are performing their duties, and sometimes he also punishes them. Just contrary to the principles mentioned here, the presidents and chief executives in the age of Kali are simply tax collectors who do not care whether religious principles are observed. Indeed, the chief executives of the present day introduce all kinds of sinful activity, especially illicit sex, intoxication, animal killing, and gambling. These sinful activities are now very prominently manifested in India. Although 100 years ago, these 4 principles of sinful life was strictly prohibited in the families of India, they have now been introduced into every Indian family. Therefore, they cannot follow religious principles. In contrast to the principles of the kings of old, the modern state is concerned only with propaganda for levying taxes and is no longer responsible for the spiritual welfare of the citizens. The state is now callous to religious principles. Srimad Bhagavatam predicts that in Kali Yuga, the government will be entrusted with Dasya Dharma, which means the occupational duty of rogues and thieves. Modern heads of state are rogues and thieves who plunder the citizens instead of giving them protection. Rogues and thieves plunder without regard for law. But this is the age of Kali. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam, the lawmakers themselves plunder the citizens. The next prediction to be fulfilled, which is already coming to pass, is that because of the sinful activities of the citizens and the government, rain will become increasingly scarce. Gradually, there will be complete drought and no production of food grains. People will be reduced to eating flesh and seeds, and many good spiritually inclined people will have to forsake their homes because they will be too harassed by drought, taxation, and famine. The Krishna consciousness movement is the only hope to save the world from such devastation. It is the most scientific and authorized movement for the actual welfare of the whole human society. Hare Krishna.
Right, so the last paragraph has a lot of points about Kali Yuga. You can see it live, how the leaders are plundering the taxes. They are simply tax collectors and using it for their advantage, and some other points as well. Many of these points are also described in Canto 12. Now, part 2 is verses 3 to 6. Agnidhara saw Purvachitti sent by Brahmaji. So understanding Agnidhara's desire, Brahmaji sends Purvachitti. Gopal, 3 to 6 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 3 translation. Understanding King Agnidhara's desire, the first and most powerful created being of this universe, Lord Brahma, selected the best of the dancing girls in his assembly, whose name was Purvachiti, and sent her to the king. Text 4. The Apsaras sent by Lord Brahma began strolling in a beautiful park near the place where the king was meditating and worshipping. The park was beautiful because of its dense green foliage and golden creepers. There were pairs of varied birds such as peacocks, and in a lake there were ducks and swans, all vibrating very sweet sounds. Thus, the park was magnificently beautiful because of the foliage, the clear water, the lotus flowers, and the sweet singing of various kinds of birds. Text 5 translation. As Purvachiti passed by on the road in a very beautiful style and mood of her own, the pleasing ornaments on her ankles tinkled with her every step. Although Prince Agnidhara was controlling his senses, practicing yoga with half-open eyes, he could see her with his lotus-like eyes. When he heard the sweet tinglings of her bangles, he opened his eyes slightly more and could see that she was just nearby. Text 6. Translation. Like a honeybee, the Apsaras smelled the beautiful and attractive flowers. She could attract the minds and vision of both humans and demigods by her playful movements, her shyness and humility, her glances, the very pleasing sounds that poured from her mouth as she spoke, and the motion of her limbs. By all these qualities, she opened for Cupid, who bears an arrow of flowers, a path of aural reception into the minds of men. When she spoke, nectar seemed to flow from her mouth. As she breathed, the bees, mad for the taste of her breath, tried to hover about her beautiful lotus-like eyes. Disturbed by the bees, she tried to move hastily, but as she raised her feet to walk quickly, her hair, the belt on her hips, and her breasts, which were like water jugs, also moved in a way that made her extremely beautiful and attractive. Indeed, she seemed to be making a path for the entrance of Cupid, who is most powerful. Therefore, the prince, completely subdued by seeing her, spoke to her as follows. Hare Krishna.
So in the following verses, Agnidhara will flatter Purvachiti even more. In verse number 3 purport, it describes why Brahmaji is described as Bhagwan Adi Purusha. So we know that Krishna is Adi Purusham, Bhagwan Adi Purusham, but why Brahmaji is described Adi Purusham? And how can Lord Brahmaji understand the living entity's desire? So one of the devotees has actually asked a question. We are reading the answer first. Gopal, verse 3 purport.
Hare Krishna. In this verse, the words Bhagavan Adi Purusham are significant. Bhagavan Adi Purusha is Lord Krishna. Govindam Adi Purusham Tam Aham Bhajami. Lord Krishna is the original person. In Bhagavad Gita, he is also addressed by Arjuna as Purusham Adyam, the original person. He is called the Bhagavan. In this verse, however, we see that Lord Brahma is described as Bhagavan Adi Purusha. The reason he is called Bhagavan is that he fully represents the Supreme Personality of Godhead and is the firstborn creature in this universe. Lord Brahma could understand Maharaja Agnidhara's desire because he is as powerful as Lord Vishnu. As Lord Vishnu, situated as Paramatma, can understand the desires of the living entity, so Lord Brahma can also understand the living entity's desire, for Vishnu as a via medium informs him. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.1, Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavya. Lord Vishnu informs Lord Brahma of everything from within his heart. Because Maharaja Agnidhara specifically worshipped Lord Brahma was pleased and he sent Purvachiti, the Apsara, to satisfy him. Hare Krishna.
Right, so Brahmaji is called Bhagwan because Brahmaji carries Bhagwan, Krishna, in his heart, as well as Brahmaji carries out the orders of Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, Brahmaji is called Bhagwan. And Vishnu as Paramatma, super soul, knows the desire of living entity. And the super soul conveys the desires to Brahmaji. This is how Brahmaji knows the desires of jiva. And this is how Brahmaji matches the jiva to one of the 8.4 million life forms. So Brahmaji is omnipotent enough to know the desires of the jiva for the purpose of creation. Does not mean Brahmaji is fully omnipotent. No. Brahmaji is omnipotent just for that purpose of matching the jiva to the body, to the 8.4 million life forms according to the jiva's desire. Questions, comments, realizations so far?
Just a small comment, Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Here we see that Agnidhara is worshipping Lord Brahma for a wife, and probably somewhere else we also see that uh, the husband of Devhuti, Sage, he was also worshipping for a wife, but he was worshipping Lord Vishnu. So both of them worshipped for their material desires, but their desires were fulfilled in a different way, which is also which is also related to the presentation which I am making, that whatever if we worship Lord Vishnu, then even if the desires are fulfilled, but it is in a devotional way.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. Thank you for correlation. And this is the advantage of doing the bigger presentation, that you are able to correlate. So yes, Kardama Muni also desired a wife to satisfy his spiritual master and father Brahmaji. And the Lord gave much more than what Kardama Muni desired for. And you are absolutely correct, the correlation of how Agnidhara is also wanting a wife. Now, there's actually a verse in Canto 4 that how does the Lord fulfill the desires of karmis versus how does the Lord fulfill the desires of devotees? There is a gulf of difference. For karmis, the Lord fulfills the desires as they desire, provided they have karmic credit. But for devotees, the Lord fulfills the desire in such a way that the devotee comes closer to Krishna, or devotee goes back home, back to Godhead. I'm trying to look for that verse, and we can read that verse. So what Abhishek Prabhu said is actually a verse of how the Lord fulfills the desires of karmis differently versus the desires of a devotee. differently. Give me a minute, I'll bring up on screen. Yeah, so it's 4.13.37. And I'll bring up on screen and we'll read. So I have on the screen 4:13:37. Abhishek Prabhu can read the translation and purport.
Translation. The king was very liberal, and after taking permission from the priest, he took the preparation in his joint palms, and after smelling it, he offered a portion to his wife. Purport. The word Udaradhi is significant in this connection. The wife of the king, Sunitha, was not fit to accept this benediction, yet the king was so liberal that without hesitation he offered to his wife the boiled rice and milk prasad received from the Yagna Purusha. Of course, everything is designed by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As will be explained in later verses, this incident was not very favorable for the king. Since the king was very liberal, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to increase his detachment from the material world, willed that a cruel son be born of the queen so that the king would have to leave home. As stated above, Lord Vishnu fulfills the desires of the karmis as they desire, but the Lord fulfills the desires of a devotee in a different way, so that the devotee may gradually come to him. This is confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tam Yena Mam Upayantite. The Lord gives the devotee the opportunity to make progress further and further so that he may come back home, back to Godhead.
Right? Lord fulfills the desires of karmis as they desire, provided they have karmic credit. And for devotees, the desire is fulfilled in such a way that the devotee goes back home, back to God. At exactly the word, almost word for word, what Abhishek Prabhu said. Questions, comments, realizations?
In a nutshell, Brahmaji was created, the first creature or a son, whatever we call, by the Lord as a media for conveying to all jivas and activities. Am I correct, Prabhuji?
Correct. So Brahmaji's post is a service that that a pure devotee is put in that role to execute the orders of the Lord for creation, for matching the jivas to their respective bodies so that their desires can be fulfilled.
The last slide which you showed, would you please go back? I want to ask a question from that.
You mean the verse?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
The incident was parallel. He was very liberal. A cruel son, you were saying, no? What is that?
You are correct. So
That's
this is
what.
so this is described about Anga. Anga is a pure devotee, and a cruel son, Vena, is born to him. So Anga first thought that not having a son is better, that those who don't have son is better. But then he thought, oh, having a good son is better. But then he goes on to say, no, wait a minute. Good son actually creates attachment and bondage. Therefore, he said that having a bad son is much better, because the bad son creates detachment, and this is why Anga left everything, renounced everything because of his cruel son Vena, and detached himself completely. And that's exactly the point being made, that the Lord fulfills the desires of a devotee in such a way so that the devotee goes back home, back to Godhead. And that's exactly what happened with Anga. So the verse that we just read and what we have on screen, 4:13:37, is describing about Anga, the pure devotee, and his cruel son Vena. Uncle?
So, to ensure his desire for detachment, he wished to have a cruel son so that he will be detached.
So he did not desire for a cruel son. It's just that when a cruel son was born, he realized that cruel son is better than a good son, because the cruel son creates detachment. Anga did not desire for a cruel son.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Very good listening with rapt attention and correlating. So now part 3 is verses 7 to 16. Agnidhara's flattery to attract Purvachitti. So as the title of part 3 explains that Agnidhara is flatterers Purvachitti, all these verses are straightforward, just the flattery verses. Sridhar Prabhu, 7 to 16 translations.
Hare Krishna. The prince mistakenly addressed the Apsara, O best of the saintly persons, who are you? Why are you on this hill, and what do you want to do? Are you one of the illusionary potencies of the Supreme Personality of Godhead? You seem to be carrying two bows without strings. What is the reason you carry these bows? Is it for some purpose of your own or for the sake of a friend? Perhaps you carry them to kill the mad animals in this forest. Text 8. Then Agnidra observed the glancing eyes of Purvachitti and said, My dear friend, you have two very powerful arrows, namely your glancing eyes. Those arrows have feathers like the petals of the lotus flower. Although they have no shafts, they are very beautiful, and they have very sharp piercing points. They appear very peaceful, and thus it seems that they will not be shot at anyone. You must be loitering in this forest to shoot those arrows at someone, but I cannot understand whom. My intelligence is dull and I cannot combat you. Indeed, no one can equal you in prowess, and therefore I pray that your prowess will be for my good fortune. Text 9. Seeing the bumblebees following Purvachitti, Maharaj Agnidra said, My dear Lord, the bumblebees surrounding your body are like disciples surrounding your worshipable self. They are incessantly chanting the mantras of the Samaveda and the Upanishads, thus offering prayers to you, just as great sages resort to the branches of Vedic literatures. The bumblebees are enjoying the showers of flowers falling from your hair. Text 10. O Brahmana, I can simply hear the tinkling of your ankle bells. Within those bells, tittery birds seem to be chirping among themselves. Although I do not see their forms, I can hear how they are chirping. When I look at your beautiful circular hips, I see they are the lovely color of kadamba flowers, and your waist is encircled by the belt of burning cinders. Indeed, you seem to have forgotten to dress yourself. Text 11. Agnidra then praised Purvachitti's raised breast. He said, My dear Brahmana, your waist is very thin, yet with great difficulty you are carefully carrying two horns, to which my eyes have become attracted. What is filling those two beautiful horns? You seem to have spread fragrant red powder upon them, powder that is like the rising morning sun. O most fortunate one, I beg to inquire where you have gotten this fragrant powder that is perfuming my ashrama, my place of residence. Text 12. O best friend, will you kindly show me the place where you reside? I cannot imagine how the residents of that place have gotten such wonderful bodily features as your raised breasts, which agitate the mind and eyes of a person like me, who sees them, judging by the sweet speech and kind smiles of those residents. I think that their mouths must contain nectar. Text 13. My dear friend, what do you eat to maintain your body? Because you are chewing betel, a pleasing, a pleasing scent is emanating from your mouth. This proves that you always eat the remnants of food offered to Vishnu. Indeed, you must also be an expansion of Lord Vishnu's body. Your face is as beautiful as a pleasing lake. Your jeweled earrings resemble two brilliant sharks with unblinking eyes like those of Vishnu, and your own eyes resemble two restless fish. Simultaneously, therefore, two sharks and two restless fish are swimming in the lake of your face. Besides them, the white rows of your teeth seem like rows of very beautiful swans in the water, and your scattered hair resembles swans of bumblebees following the beauty of your face. Text 14. My mind is always restless, and by playing with a ball, moving it all about with your lotus like palm, you are also agitating my eyes. Your curling black hair is now scattered, but you are not attentive to arranging it. Are you not going to arrange it? Like a man attached to woman, the most cunning wind is trying to take off your lower garment. Are you not mindful of it? Text 15. O best among those performing austerities, where did you get this wonderful beauty that dismantles the austerities performed by others? Where have you learned this art? What austerity have you undergone to achieve this beauty, my dear friend? I desire that you join me to perform austerity and penance. For it may be that the creator of the universe, Lord Brahma, being pleased with me, has sent you to become my wife. Text 16. Lord Brahma, who is worshipped by the Brahmanas, has very mercifully given you to me, and that is why I have met you. I do not want to give up your company, for my mind and eyes are fixed upon you and cannot be drawn away. O woman with beautiful raised breasts, I am your follower. You may take me wherever you like, and your friends may also follow me. Hare Krishna.
So, completely flattering verses. Nothing really to discuss there. Now, part 4 is verses 17 to 23. Agnidhara's family life, descendants, and attainment of Pitraloka. So, Agnidhara desired Pitraloka, even though he is son of a pure devotee, the Vaishnava Priyavrata, because Agnidhara was born when Priyavrata was infatuated by lusty desires. Uncle will read 17 to 23 translations.
Hare Krishna. Text 17. Sukadeva Goswami continued. Maharaja Agnidhara, whose intelligence was like that of a demigod, knew the art of flattering women to win them in his sight. He therefore pleased that celestial girl with his lusty words and gained her favor. Text 18. Attracted by the intelligence, learning, youth, beauty, behavior, opulence, and magnanimity of Agnidhara, the king of Jambuvita and master of all heroes, Purvasiti lived with him for many thousands of years and luxuriously enjoyed both worldly and heavenly happiness. Text 19. The womb of Purvasiti, Maharaja Agnidhara, the best of kings, begot 9 sons named Nabi, Kimpusara, Arivarsa, Ilavrata, Ramyaka, Hiramanya, Kuru, Badrasu, Badrasva, Ketumala, text 20. Purvasati gave birth to these 9 sons, one each year. But after they grew up, she left them at home and again approached Lord Brahma to worship him. Text 21. Because of drinking the breast milk of their mother, the 9 sons of Agnidhara naturally had strong, well-built bodies. Their father gave them each a kingdom in a different part of Jambu Vipa. The kingdoms were named according to the names of the sons. These sons of Agnidhara ruled the kingdoms they received from their father. Text 22. After Purvisita's departure, King Agnidhara, his lusty desires not at all satisfied, always thought of her. Therefore, in accordance with Vedic injunctions, the king after his death was promoted to the same planet as his celestial wife. That planet, which is called Pitraloka, is where the Pitas, the forefathers, live in great delight. 23. Text 23. After the departure of their father, the 9 brothers married the 9 daughters of Meru, named Merudevi, Pratirupa, Ugradamsri, Lata, Ramya, Shyama, Nari, Bhadra, and Deviti. Hare Krishna.
Straightforward verses. Any questions, comments, realizations?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Krishna.
Prabhu, you mentioned that he was, because his father was a pure devotee, so sometimes we hear that Prahlad Maharaj was given, like Narsinghdev says that for a pure devotee, his some dynasties or something Lord had also delivered.
Yeah, 21 generations before and after. Yes, you are correct.
So, like, was that applicable in this case? Because it was
Yeah,
not.
so you are correct. It is applicable for an interim portion because Agnidhara was conceived during the time when Priyavrata was lusty. Therefore, for a little while he goes to Pitraloka, but 21 generations before and after of a pure devotee, they do get delivered because of the pure devotee.
Thank you.
Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports of the 5th canto, 2nd chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled The Activities of Maharaj Agnidhara. Spiritual endeavor questions, please take a note. Question 1. List some of the predictions for Kali Yuga. Comes from chapter 2, verse 1. Question 2. Explain why Lord Brahma is described as Bhagwan Adi Purusha. From chapter 2, verse 3. Number 3. How can Lord Brahmaji understand living entities' desire? From chapter 2, verse 3. For next class, please read Canto 5, chapter 3. So chapter 3 is also a very short chapter and a straightforward chapter. So at the next class, we will finish chapter 3 as well as this unit 21. And then following week on May 30th, you all will do your respective presentations for Unit 21. So please let me know your presentation slots. I will set up the Bhagavatam Excel sometime soon. Now we are just past 1 p.m. Toronto time. One option is that the couple of inquiries submitted by devotees I can answer in subsequent class, because next class is also going to be a shorter class, because chapter 3 is quite short. And the other option is we can extend now and I can answer, but it's already late in India, so I don't want to extend considering for those devotees in India. Are you all okay if I answer in subsequent class?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yes,
That's okay.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, okay.
All right. We'll stop here. Thank you, everybody. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you.
Krishna. Thank you so
Hare
much.
Krishna.
Hare Krishna.